Hi, I'm Carolyn Kinane. I'm an associate director at the Contemplative Sciences Center at the University of Virginia, which is in Charlottesville, Virginia, USA. And today I have a series of brief videos on contemplative course design. This is the second in the series. So you may want to go view the 8.5-minute contemplative pause video before moving into this one. So I'm going to walk us through what this contemplative pause could look like in terms of course design. So a first step, awareness. Here is where we just take a look at the syllabus and the assignments. Notice any unexamined academic habits or unintentional practices and dispositions that your assignments cultivate. So I like to, when taking a contemplative approach to course design, not just think about the content, what I want students to know, or the skills, what I want them to be able to do, but also the dispositions, how I hope for students to be in the world. I hope to help students be curious and to be collaborative and empathetic and exploratory. I hope to help them to be open-minded. So I take a look at my syllabus and my assignments and the activities, and I consider the ways that epistemology and other academic habits that I've been practicing for decades can cultivate certain kinds of dispositions, and how we come to know a thing impacts our interactions with it. So I just notice, how am I asking students to be with one another, with the course material? Are my students practicing being competitive, isolated, dominant, as they are writing a paper or engaging in debate? Are they practicing being materialist, instrumentalist, self-interested? How am I asking students to be over the course of this course? Then, inquiry. You'll recall that this is where I check in with values and intentions. Are these unexamined academic habits and practices in line with my goals and my values? Is this how I hope for students to be? Is this what I want students to practice? If I want students to be able to be collaborative, empathetic, and playful, to be able to take perspective, to take a generous reading, I want to make sure that I have activities and assignments where they are practicing that, so that those practices become habits. A next step would be, as you recall, presence. This is seeing my syllabus, my assignments, maybe even my discipline with fresh eyes. Recognize the context of the course. Consider who is going to be registering for it, where it falls in the place of curriculum. Here, seeing with fresh eyes, revision becomes possible. The next step, discernment. You'll recall this is informed evaluation. Here is where I choose to develop some assignments that are aligned with my values. I develop some activities and some grading structure that help student practice the habits that I want them to be practicing, not the ones that are automatically embedded in my discipline as I had been trained to teach it. The next step is action. Here is where one designs and delivers the course. And the final step, you'll recall, is reflection. So maybe checking in with yourself through a variety of ways throughout the semester with a teaching journal, checking in to see how it goes. So our general orientation, and here I'm talking about my work at the Contemplative Sciences Center at the University of Virginia. Being contemplative is an approach to whatever it is that we are doing. This is bringing attention, in the context of what I'm talking about today, bringing attention, awareness, presence, open inquiry, and reflection to that which we do. When I bring this approach to teaching, some folks say, hey, there's nothing special about that. That's what good teaching is or should be. And yes, this is true. My point is not that contemplative is some new innovation. Contemplative processes have ancient and global presence. It's rather that many areas of contemporary, capitalist, Western, white culture denigrate the contemplative. And as a result, much of higher education has an impoverished vocabulary for contemplative processes and very little space for these necessary human processes. And so overall, I'm interested in how we can reclaim the contemplative as a necessary complement to critical and creative processes. And basically, that's my triumvirate of education: critical thinking, creative expression, and contemplative inquiry. I'll do a deep dive on contemplative inquiry in another context. So the form that this work takes at the Contemplative Sciences Center really focuses on practice, on the role of practice in transforming habits. It takes practice to develop habits of attention, awareness, presence, open inquiry, and reflection. And I and others see these as radical counter practices to the automatic adoption of cultural norms, such as mindless consumption, for example. But for CSC, I just feel like I need to say it's not about the practice. Contemplation itself is not an end, although the practice and process itself is valuable in its own right and deserves its own space and its own area of study. Contemplation can be also used in service of human flourishing. And so the Contemplative Sciences Center promotes contemplative practices that empower people to live lives of flourishing, which means a variety of things, not limited to, but including the ability to bounce forward from adversity and the ability to live meaningful lives in alignment with one's values. So our work is supported by studies showing that these capacities for attention, awareness, presence, and so on increase resilience and a deep sense of contentment. Now, this does not mean there is no struggle or adversity in a person's life, rather that a person has the capacity to meet struggle with strength. This is not about meditating away stress, but rather about building a capacity to discern what needs to be done and having the tools to do it well. Thank you so much. The third part of this series will move into specific examples of contemplative activities and assignments. Thank you so much.